Top 5 decks after Dawn of Majesty. Dawn doesn't really do a lot of cool, crazy things to change the meta, but it does give access to more light and dark support, which makes Alistair the Invoker one step more dangerous in the modern metagame. So let's dig on into top 5 decks post Dawn of Majesty, shall we? Make sure you guys smash up the grab button, subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Number 1 on our list here is actually going to be Despia. Now, Despia dolls, Alistair the Invoker. You know what all these decks have in common? Generic, light, and dark support. Anybody else really modernly intrigued by that thought? So what happens when I get the ability to have a generic super poly target for having a Despia monster plus a light and dark? I get the ability to technically have recurable negates because Demiturge can come back. I have an amazing searcher built into the Despia engine, and on top of the searcher for that searcher, and that spell card searcher gives me a discard outlet to drop stuff to special summon or add from the deck. You all got that, right? And my fusion spell card is on a field spell, alright, that generically lets me summon anything level 8 or higher for nothing. You catch all that? That's pretty easy stuff. So, post Dawn of Majesty, I'm expecting there to be an outbreak of variants that are trying to mess around with Despia. Whether or not these builds will find success, I'm expecting there to be a generic push towards this as players kind of start to explore other option trees with Despia, and it being generic light and dark support. If there's more light and dark running around in the modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh, then that means that there's going to be more hype for this. So this deck gets the best matchups all day long. This deck can sit at the dinner table for top 5 in my opinion, but if it fails on the wayside and there's no innovation in the early stages, this deck will fall off. But because it's the current hot trend that's coming out here, we'll have to wait and see kind of where this sits after that. So yeah, Despia, ladies and gentlemen. Next up here is going to be Virtual World. So I've mentioned Virtual World as a top 5 for a little while, and I still think people still give me flack for this. Now, my reasoning behind this deck being a top 5 contender in a lot of the modern metagame is very simple. Senshin is a very good card. People look at Macrocosmo effects and like, oh, that's not that good. But in all actuality, a recurring Macrocosmo is absurd. All right, a lot of players, the competitive aspect of this deck, players understand. It's pretty busted. Now, obviously, like ending on a Chuchi for interruption, getting to end on Crystal Wing plus Kaliga is really good. Some builds are ending on Crystal Wing Dragoon. Other variants are just not even playing the Dragoon package. I think it's very interesting, actually. You have so many variants to what you could do with this deck. It's either Kaliga, Dragoon, or you're just opting without. There's even builds that play both Kaliga and Dragoon. Think about that. When you have that many, you have 4 viable builds, by the way. I haven't seen not one build not do better than the other. Alright, I've seen all 4 builds have done stuff. Alright, I guess you pick your poison for what you want to do for that extra deck, because I think it's kind of hilarious. At this point in time, Chuchi's the best interruption they have. The Macrocosmo rounds out the rest of the matchups that they should have problems with. Outside of that, it just comes down to, do you want more of a top-heavy combo variant, or like, will Chuchi Senshin with like follow-up plays get you there? I don't know. I think that's the coolest thing about VW, is that pure, we can have so many variants sitting at the table. And by variants, I mean, most of the main decks look the same. It's just, what's your flavor of the month for the extra deck? So, take what you get with that. Next up here, number 3, is going to be Drytron. Now, of the top 4 decks, I would almost argue that this is the easiest to beat. So, besides Dark Ruler no moreing them and laughing at them, yeah, they could still have some heralds in hand to mess you up. Mr. High Orange Light, I hate you. Alright, such a bad broken card. But the fact that like one Dark Will, I guess you can argue the Dark Will no more beats a lot of fields. You Dark Will no more of them, they're like, oh okay. Sayaka Reader is the single-handed best card that you could have against this deck. Sometimes they can play through interruptions. Droll and Lockbird is hilarious against this deck, though the innovation that they recently had with this was they started playing Dragoon in the deck. So you want to Droll them, that's fine. They're going to laugh at you back by making a Verte with a Dragoon and essentially passing their turn. It was their foolproof plan of kind of rounding out the matchup because they were getting sick of getting Drolled. Alright, the fact that Droll would effectively ruin their turn post-inclusion of the Dragoon package literally sucked, man. So now they had to find a way to play some more bricks into the deck so when they do get Drolled that they can play the game. I've seen this deck actually brick a couple times and the bricks are unplayable, hot garbage. At least 95% of the time in the other decks besides VW. VW also bricks like a mofo. Alright, Virtual World bricks are horrible. Alright, Drytron bricks look about as unplayable. So, in terms of innovation, I think the Dragoon package being played in Drytron right now was about the spiciest thing that we've seen out of this. Yeah, and I guess the Quadranis seeing play in the deck as well. We've seen a lot more of that too, actually, recently. They started pushing for that, which I also kind of thought was interesting. But Quadranis does add a little bit of spice into the deck, which does effectively round out more of your matchups for that. So that's a good thing. All right, next up over here is going to be Praying Kids at number 2. So, Praying Kids has been gaining so much freaking popularity as of late, man. All right, like it's freaking insane. All right, who would have guessed that a 1-card engine, normal summon Praying Kids monster, and then go into Meow Meow Mew start combo. All right, a Raigeki that you can trigger not once but twice on the opponent's turn would be deemed pretty good. Well, it is. It's weird, though, because this deck has only been getting better. I would have said last format that this was borderline top 5. And now that we've kind of pushed up here, this deck, looking at certain tournament results, you could tell this is probably the second best deck in the room. Which, like I said, a multi-layered Raigeki quick effect on the opponent's turn is what this deck has going for it. Besides, effectively being 1-card engines, Rip Roar and Roaster. Like, I think that's the cool thing. The Link 4 also back row wipes your opponent, but 95% of the time you're just going to make the fusion anyway to board wipe the monsters, because back row decks aren't a threat to Praying Kids. The only time I've seen this deck lose is the Harpy's Feather Duster, because, well, there goes your ability to fully interrupt, and you lost a whole bunch of resources like imperms and stuff. You lost your token generator for the next turn. It's kind of big suck when it happens, because you do need those back row cards to protect you 95% of the time, but considering the fact that it's Praying Kids and the deck is still very, very, very solid as a tier 1 competitor, absolutely. Alright, Raigeki F. Oh, you had the Miskin hand? Oh, that sucks. Well, guess I scoop up my cards. Literally, my friend lost to dinosaurs playing this deck. What can you do? Next up here, the best deck in the room, I think most players can agree at this point, is probably Tri-Brigade. I remember underestimating this deck fully, though I did say that this deck didn't need time to innovate itself. And I would say that the time for innovation has passed. Most of the community agrees that the Rescue Cat is the absolute best way to play this deck right now. 95% of the time, yeah, stopping the cat's choke point, it's pretty good actually. I've seen some people try to choke out the kit dump, which is kind of weird. I understand, like, yeah, stopping the kit dump does stop the extra body from deploying onto the field through the banish effect. There's that. Basically, if they can get the Frigette to deploy out another monster, it's kind of where things kind of start to go wrong. And if they have Karis, well, you should probably just pick up your cards and leave because they had the extender. It's pretty much what your Tri-Brigade matchup is like. It's Cat F. If you stop the cat, they have the Fractal for the dump to search into the Karis. Well, it's kind of what it's like. Revolt's a very good card. I would almost argue that Cosmic King the Revolt to try to trigger it ahead of schedule will put you in a somewhat better position. It's just this deck's grind game is amazing. Alright, and that's why most of these builds are playing triple Shirag at this point. So when they do get into that grind game, they essentially just outgrind you and they win because of it. So you always wonder why they're playing 3 Shirag. It's for the grind game. It makes their life so much easier. Alright, so what do you guys think about all of this? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Smash it up with the crap out of the subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today with some more cool content. Peace out, guys. Have a good one. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out Vanquill40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by Vanquill40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mquillgames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.